In 3 years, $45 million.
Every day I have an opportunity to drop the ball, and every day I have an opportunity to grow the company. 7 figures in 7 months. And he said, hey, I just wanted to congratulate you and let you know that you've made the show. All my team was looking at me like, show? What is he talking about?
Like, what show?
Yeah, and I said, hey, what show are you talking about? He said, Shark Tank. My team loses it. I get 4 offers on the show, starting with Kevin Hart. We just built a 20,000 square foot factory in South Florida, the largest Seasmoss manufacturers in the world now.
You've had a 300-pound weight loss journey. You had really been given a death certificate by your doctor.
I did. I had just helped them build a Curiosity rover that's on Mars.
NASA scientist and engineer.
Yes.
To the Seasmoss King. How does it happen?
Well,
welcome to Vault Empowers Talks, where we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. But before I introduce my guest for today, I need you to go ahead and do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss your daily dose of inspiration and motivation. But without further ado, I get to introduce this mogul sitting across from me. Alexiou Gibson, the Seasmoss King, is the CEO and founder of the Transformation Factory, where he leads the company as a continuation of his own transformation from one seeking answers to the one providing answers. The Transformation Factory is an organization building on a health line of products to help people become the best versions of themselves. On the season finale episode of ABC's Shark Tank, Mark Cuban and Kevin Hart struck a $600,000 deal with Alexiou to expand his already multi-million-dollar enterprise. After his appearance on Shark Tank, Gibson's company saw a 10x growth. Within 3 years, his all-natural products have made $45 million. Alexiou has been featured on Forbes' list of next billion startups of 2023, Legacy Miami's 40 Under 40, and listed as Essence Magazine's #1 most successful Black-owned business to pitch on Shark Tank, just to name a few. Alexiou is the recipient of the Martin Luther King Jr. Award and the Global Citizens Award. A retired NASA scientist and engineer, Alexiou is on a mission to coach, inspire, and encourage others to transform their lives. Vault Empowers Talks. Welcome entrepreneur, investor, mogul, Alexiou Gibson, the Seasmoss King, to the show.
thank you so much for
You
that
are so welcome.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, listen, I want you to feel good when you come sit in this seat. Knowing you've been doing some big things in the world.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, NASA scientist and engineer.
Yes.
To the Seasmoss King. How does it happen?
Well, it happened right after my tenure with NASA. My mentor at NASA, the chief of technology, she said, you're one of the smartest guys we've had in here, and for that reason, I don't want to see you back. And, I was 24 at the time. I had just helped them build a Curiosity rover that's on Mars. And
you did what?
I was a part of the team that built the Curiosity rover.
Oh, wow.
Prototype in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. And my performance with that project led them to taking me to Washington, D.C., working at the headquarters. And I worked very closely with Leland Melvin, the astronaut, black astronaut, as well as the chief of technology. And she said, hey, I really want to see you spread your wings. Go out there. I feel like you're going to be a big light to the world. And if you really want to stay here, come back when you finish grad school. We'll open the doors wide open for you. And she said, but I really hope that you don't get stuck behind a desk like we did. And I said, I took a leap of faith. I got into network marketing at the time with a colleague of mine that was at the top. And it taught me so much about communication, marketing, and everything of the sort. And all of those things I still use today in my business. So I feel like it was that middle stepping stone that God wanted me to experience, but because he knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And, first generation business owner.
Yeah, he knew it was coming. And you had other ideas, though, because you've had a 300-pound weight loss journey. And you originally thought that if you got on The Biggest Loser, that this was going to be the thing that changed your life. And God has a funny way of showing us it's not our plans, it's his plans.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was at my heaviest size, I was broke college student, didn't really have the resources. I knew I wanted to start the process of my transformation, but with time, lack of money, lack of knowledge, lack of everything, I would see that show and watch the season finales and see them rip through their before pictures. And I'm like, wow, like if I could just get here, it would fix everything, you know? And so one day they were coming to Miami for an open casting call, and my mom saw it. And she said, hey, I really think you should go. I think they'll love your story. You know, you worked for NASA and everything. Like, you'll be a good story. So I said, no, I don't think I want to do it. They're not going to pick me, you know. And she said, you know what? I'll do it with you. You know, because at the time, this was before her weight loss as well. She was like, I'll do it with you, because they were looking for mother, sons, brothers, sisters. They were looking for teams, you know.
And what year was this?
This was probably 2015. I
Okay,
say, 2015. And so we got on the line. It's a really long line.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like an 8-hour wait, you know? And, you know, I brought all my documents, my photos, everything. After 8 hours, we finally get to the front door.
Yeah.
And my mom says, you go ahead, baby. I'm not going to do it. She literally just backed out last minute. And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to go? I'm like, all right, let's just go home then. She's like, no, we were here for 8 hours. You might as well. You know? That was her way of like tricking me to go.
So she never really wanted to do it.
No, she didn't.
She was
want to
just
go
like,
on the
I'm
show.
just going to support you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But she knows how stubborn I can be.
Yeah.
She knew I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
If once she said, I want to do it with you, I was like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Because obviously I wanted to see her, you know, healthier as well.
Yeah.
You know, everybody wants to preserve their parents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we can do this together. And she just, you know, pushed me. And
Yeah.
at that time, casting directors already had their hands on me and put me in a group of 10 people. We had about 60 seconds each to do an elevator pitch on our story. And I told them about NASA. I told them about a few things, student government, things that I was doing in college. And you know, just taking notes, very, very blank face, you know, poker face. They don't want to give away anything.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, there were some people at the table that were really animated, like, you know, like reality star animated.
Yeah.
And one is crying at the drop of a dime, and I'm over here just telling my story.
Yeah.
And so I left the group session. They said, hey, don't go too far. You will know if you made it to the next round within the next 2 hours. And we had drove 2 hours from Palm Beach. So we decided we were just going to stay. Actually, I told my mom, I said, hey, I'm not going to make this show. I'm like, you don't understand. They have actors there. They have these bright personalities there. I'm like, I'm the boring guy at the table.
You're so calm and mild-mannered, soft-spoken.
Yeah, very low temperament, you know. And I'm like, that's not what they're looking for. They want drama, you know.
Yeah.
And so she was like, no, I think we should wait it out. And I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm not going to make it. Let's not waste our time.
Yeah.
So we had been on that line all day. None of us had eaten. So my mom pulling another wild card. She's like, okay, let's go home. But let's just go grab something to eat. We've been in the sun all day.
Yeah.
I know you're hungry. I'm hungry. And I was like, okay. So we went out to eat. She was stalling for time.
She was trying to hold out that 2 hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm at the table. We're having a lunch. And my phone goes off saying, hey, you're one of the 10 people we selected for a couch interview.
Okay.
You know, so there was thousands of people out there.
Yeah.
They only called back 10. And I was one of them. And I'm sitting in a setting similar to this, sitting across from a casting producer, and they're deep diving into my full story, you know, of everything.
Yeah.
And they fell in love with my story and went to my mom at the end of the interview. She was waiting in the lobby, and she was like, your son's incredible. Like, I feel he's going to do really well, and, you know, yada, yada. So they said, hey, thank you so much. You'll find out if you made it or not within the next few weeks. And they said the way you'll know if you made it or not, we will literally say that we have all our contestants on our Facebook group. So, you know, we waited. 3 weeks later on Facebook, it says, thank you so much for everyone that came to casting. We have our full cast, meaning I didn't make it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, okay, at least I did it. You know, it was a fun experience. And I just kind of left that alone. About 6 months to 7 months later, one of my friends is graduating college, and we're at Cheesecake Factory just celebrating.
People still go to Cheesecake Factory. Look at that, y'all. They still going to Cheesecake Factory.
Yes. So, you know, we were celebrating his graduation, so all of us went to Cheesecake Factory to celebrate. And I'm at the table, and my phone goes off, and it's California. I don't have any friends from California, any numbers in my
Yeah.
phone from California. So I'm a creature of habit. I always answer every call. You never know who's on the other end.
You are so good. I
you
want to
know,
be like you when I grow up. Listen.
you miss opportunities if you don't. You can
Yeah.
tell in 5 seconds if it's solicitation,
Yeah.
But this one, thank God I answered because it was Biggest Loser calling back. They were like, we know we didn't put you on season 13, but we really want to get you on season 14. They literally kept all my information, and I guess the executive casting producer Brandon, he kept pulling my card for his staff to keep calling me, and so I did that. I went back and did another interview with them, sent them a whole at-home video. They want you to record yourself eating, exercising, your day-to-day,
Yeah.
your weight loss struggles, all the dramatic stuff they show. And so I sent them another video, and they were like, this is really good. You made it to the next round.
So what were you saying in this video? Because you were really thinking that The Biggest Loser was going to solve all the problems, that this
Yes.
was going to be, this is your last resort in a
Yes.
lot of ways. So
Yes.
what were you saying in this video?
Well, we were really talking about the struggles, at that size, the kind of struggles, looks you get in public, places you can't really go, rides you can't get on, all the stereotypical things when you're super morbidly obese,
Yeah.
being winded and not being able to play your favorite sports anymore, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they want, and then just my Bahamian background roots, how was it growing up as an overweight child, and the discrimination of being that size and being a black male, two negatives in society.
Yeah.
And that's really what they wanted to see and get into the drama.
Because you had really been given a death certificate by your doctor.
I did.
Yeah. They told you were not going to live to see 30 years old.
Yes, and you know what? That kicked it into high gear for me. That was after The Biggest Loser disappointment. And, I got one final call after season 14, didn't make it again. And at this point, I'm like, I don't never want to see a California number on my phone again. I'm completely over it.
Yeah.
Ruben Studdard actually took my spot on season 14.
What?
They
Okay.
said
Big Ruben.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we said? What was that song that he has? Sorry, 99 or
Yes,
something?
yes.
Yeah.
I was trying to forget anything he sang back then.
I know you were.
No, we love Ruben, but it made sense. Obviously, he would bring more ratings.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they also said, obviously some of these shows only have such a small amount of slots for people that look like us, and we had the same phenotype. Bald guys, big teddy bears. And if they had to
Right.
choose one, they go with obvious choice would be Ruben.
American Idol.
Yeah, exactly. American Idol. So I'm like, man, Ruben took my spot. This is
Yeah.
the second time. So I get a call again 6 months later from the casting directors again. They said, hey, we're not going to try and put you on Biggest Loser anymore. We actually don't think that's a good fit for you because it's so competitive and it's like a dog-eat-dog world. And your story is so inspiring, we wanted to do something bigger. So then they presented me with Extreme Weight Loss, which was a show on Disney and ABC where they literally film you for an entire year. It's not a
Yeah.
competition.
I remember this.
Yes, with Chris Powell, we're still friends, Chris Powell, and at the end, it shows you the big reveal, but it's a whole 2-hour episode with just your story. And so I was so excited. I thought that was much better.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I don't want to get eliminated. And I even said, what if I get eliminated and I still have weight to lose? Can I still stay and just work out, And they're like, this is a better show.
Yeah.
So I made it all the way to filming, where they flew me to Colorado. We started filming, green screen, everything. And I'm in a room with 30 people. They're going to choose 26 for the show, and it's 30. Odds are great.
In your
Furthest I
favor.
had ever
Yeah.
been.
Yeah.
And I get there, the nurses, the trainers, even the people competing for a spot, all became friends with me, and they were also excited for this opportunity for me. They're like, man, Alexiou's the first one in the gym every morning. He's the last one to leave, and all this other stuff. So the owner of the show came in the day before eliminations, and he comes into this classroom that we're sitting in, and I'm sitting all the way in the back because I'm trying to hide, and he points at me and he says, you're Alexiou. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Alexiou. And he said, I'm intimidated to even be in the same room as you. You worked for NASA, I've never done anything like that. And I'm thinking like, wow, here's this guy that owns the show.
Yeah.
Saying he's intimidated by,
Yeah.
And then he goes, but can you lose the weight? He was like, you haven't been an ex-athlete like some of these people. Like, can you even do it? And then he went on, he was about to go on to the next person. 2 people stood up that were competing for the same spot I was and said, "You'd be crazy if you didn't pick him. Like, he's literally been crushing it." And,
Yeah.
a lot of people started to vouch.
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay, we'll see." And he goes around the room and he kind of, talks to everybody else. The very next day was elimination. We were sitting in a room with 10 people. The ABC CEO, their lawyers, Chris Powell, the host,
Yeah.
the producers, and then there's 5 of us on the other side, all doing the same thing again.
So all the odds are stacked in your favor.
All in my favor.
Yeah.
And so we did our interviews. Everyone is getting drilled with questions. They get to me, and we were working out that whole week. And they get to me and they said, "Hey, you're a pretty big guy. How come you only lost 12 pounds this week?" Because, people were losing a lot of weight their first week at boot camp. And they're like, "You only lost 12 pounds. Like, you're one of the bigger guys here. I thought you would have lost more." That was the only question he asked me. Everyone else had a full interview,
So you knew in that moment that this might not work out.
I knew one or two things. They either knew for sure they wanted me, and that's why they didn't question me, or he was over it.
Yeah.
But talking to the producers, I had a producer that pulled me aside off the record, and he said, "Hey, you're practically in." He said, "Everybody here loves you. Even the nurses that's taking your blood, they're not even a part of casting. They're bragging about you."
Yeah.
And they were like, "You deserve this," And the whole team, I was like top pick up for 10 people on their list. And the owner came in and trumped everyone and eliminated me from being on the show.
Oh, wow.
And I was devastated.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I really thought this was it.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Biggest
convince
loser,
me.
extreme.
Yeah.
This is my chance.
This is my chance. You can't convince me this isn't it.
Yeah.
I'm literally in boot camp filming.
Yeah.
So I get eliminated. Immediately, they find flights for us the same day. And I have the phone numbers of everyone, all my castmates.
Yeah.
And we stayed friends. And while they were losing weight on the camera, doing their production, I said, "You know what? I don't need them. I'm just gonna do what they taught me this first week. I'm gonna stay in contact with my friends that's literally doing it the whole year.
Yeah.
And they're sharing with me what they eat and their workouts, and I'm just mimicking everything."
That's so good.
And I decided, hey, I want to film this myself and share my own story and motivate people at my own terms. And I put together a camera crew and everything. I'm in college, so I'm picking film students and like, hey, I want to get a part of a cool project. We don't have a budget, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And we started working out, and I was able to drop 200 pounds in 13 months.
Wow.
About 13 months, and I just decided I was going to do it myself.
Yeah.
And film it. So it was a huge disappointment, but it actually worked out because I was able to now spin my story into something I never planned, which is the Transformation Factory, my now brand.
Yeah. The Transformation Factory.
Yes.
I don't know did you see this? Because you really started this whole thing with Seasmoss because it's the middle of COVID. You're trying to keep your own family safe. You're like, let me pull on my Bahamian roots and go back to what I know. And Seasmoss was a thing that you knew had all the minerals that your body would need to protect your immune system. So you're posting, putting Seasmoss in your grandmama's coffee and all the things on social media, and it starts to take off. So now you're giving it away to frontline workers. You're giving this away to nurses. And you're trying to supplement with other people who are now buying the product.
Absolutely. So it's so funny how it started. I always tell people I was bullied into having this business because I was really minding my own business.
Somebody bullied me into 45 million. I'm happy to do it. Bully me into 45 million.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was, as a Bahamian boy, having Seasmoss in the cupboard is like having hot sauce in the cupboard. You just have it. You just always have it. Castor oil, Cerasee, a couple holistic medicines that grow naturally in our country. You get sick, grandma's boiling this bush. It tastes terrible, but you feel better, So during the pandemic, I wanted to keep everyone's immune system up. My mother works at the airport, which means she's coming in contact with COVID every day. And, she's in her 50s and she's taking medication for certain things. So I'm like, her immune system was compromised too. Grandmother, 80 years old. And then my little sister's probably the healthiest in the house at 11, just a kid.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to make sure everyone takes their daily routine of vitamins and get all their minerals from the sea moss to keep their immune system up. So it will prevent them from getting COVID because their immune system is so high.
Yeah.
Or if they do get it, they will survive it. Their body will get rid of it in a couple of days.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fatal. So that was my thing. So I started making it, and my grandmother would start every single morning with latte. I had a little coffee maker that can make lattes.
Yeah.
And so I would put the sea moss in the milk, froth it up, make it real nice.
So fancy.
Yes, and she wouldn't even know that it's in there. I mean, I told her, but she couldn't taste it.
Yeah.
And she was like, man, Lex, this is delicious. She would take her finger and get the foam at the bottom of the cup. I'm like, okay, you really like this.
Yeah.
And so I would film that, put it on my stories. I'm serving her coffee in bed. She's watching Walker, Texas Ranger, or some Western,
Older people love Westerns. What is it? I don't know. When I get older, maybe I'm going to get me, maybe that's why Beyonce doing country music now. Okay, we getting older. I need to get into some Westerns.
The calmest, sweetest woman ever. But when those guns go off in the Western, she's hyped, So, I'm filming her. I'm giving her the coffee, and I post it on Instagram. You have people that's like, man, that's adorable,
Yeah.
And then I have friends that were nurses, RNs, and nurse practitioners, and they're working pretty much 16-hour, 18-hour days on the front line.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can I get some of that? I know what it is. I know what it does. I'm afraid to come back home to my newborn. I'm afraid to come home to my husband, my grandparents, and potentially expose them because I'm exposed every second of the day.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, just come over to my house. I'll have it on the porch in a cooler, and you can just grab as many as you need, take it. And I had nurses that didn't live in the state. I said, give me your address. I'll go to USPS and I'll ship it to you.
Yeah.
And that's how the hashtag free sea moss for nurses came about. And the demand started rising. Word of mouth got around. And I got like maybe 30 orders that week. And I'm like, this is manageable. And then I started getting requests from people that weren't healthcare workers. And I'm like, I can't afford to keep doing this for free.
Right, right.
No money's coming in. COVID's happening. The world's shut down. Businesses are frozen. My bank account's looking light now, and I'm like, hey, I can't really do this. So what we did is I started charging a small amount for anyone that wasn't in healthcare, and we kept it free for nurses as long as we could.
Yeah.
And I decided to open up an Etsy page. Etsy is like an online farmer's market.
Yeah.
And I opened an Etsy page because I was getting orders on 5 different social media platform DMs and text messages.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need an omni channel where everything can come in.
Yeah.
And I can stop doing business like I'm in the Flintstone ages. And so I made a free page. It was free to make a page. And I put some pictures up that I took in my backyard. I had cameras and everything. And the very next week, I had over 55 star reviews, and it tipped the algorithms on the website. So now when you went to Etsy and you typed in sea moss, you saw my page pop up, and it said bestseller.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no way I'm bestseller in a week,
Yeah.
No one's selling sea moss.
Yeah.
It must be,
Yeah.
So I got to the top of the search engine, and that's when everything changed. I went from getting only local Florida orders to the very next week I was shipping out to 28 different states.
Wow.
And I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And, I'm taking pictures on Instagram with my 20 cute packages back then, and I'm like, Philadelphia, California, New York, pointing at all the places we're shipping to. And I caught the eye of a company here in Atlanta that was selling sea moss. They were really good at marketing and running ads, but they didn't make the product themselves. So they had the marketing knowledge I didn't have, and I had the formula that they didn't have.
Yeah.
So we decided to come together, and they wanted me to white label their product, meaning I would put their label on my jar, ship it to their customers, and their customers fell in love. They said it was the best sea moss. It was smooth, tasty, and we were able to do $100,000 a month with them because of the orders that they were sending us.
But what's interesting is they were upselling.
Yes,
They was showing you this is how much it's really worth out here because you was playing a little small.
Yeah, I was selling my raw sea moss at the time for like $20, and they were reselling it for $50. and it was flying off the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it opened my eyes, and
Yeah.
I became a student again. I said, I need to learn how to run ads. I need to learn what creatives are, return on ad spend.
Yeah.
You know, I went to school for engineering, so it was all numbers and science and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything marketing. So it was like I was going right back to school. I'm going down a rabbit hole on YouTube,
Yeah.
signing up for digital courses and stuff like that
Yeah.
online.
They were upselling this
Yes,
product.
they were upselling big
Yeah.
time. And, you know, the owner was sending me so many orders, and it was just me one doing everything. I was driving to Walmart, Targets, Office Depots, getting supplies.
And your grandmama was putting these cute little tags on them.
She was, so
putting
we
these
didn't.
cute little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't have a label or even a name yet. It was just like a farmer's market jar, and it had a tag that my grandmother would tie on them that said "Made with Love," and at the top of it, it had a sticker that said "Vegan." It was very plain.
I mean,
you
this
know?
is like prime example of start where you are.
Yes, 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 absolutely.
Yeah.
That's all we had, and you know, everyone was buying it. You know, it was just going so well. By month 4, the other company had started scaling so aggressively, and I wanted to keep up with the demand because you know I was so excited that this was coming in and this was
Yeah,
becoming a big
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I didn't want to drop the ball and start getting tired, so I literally went 3 days without sleep trying to fulfill like 800 orders by myself. And one morning I woke up, you know, and I told my mom, I said, hey, I think I have to go to the emergency room. You know, my entire body just felt like extreme pain. You know, I could barely walk. And, you know, I went to the hospital. I was hospitalized for a whole week. I needed every
Wow.
nutrient you can imagine,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm on the phone with the other company. I literally have IVs in my veins, and they're screaming at me like, where's the orders, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Like, I'm like, hey, I'm in the hospital. My mom actually took over because I showed her how to make the product, and she made 500 orders while I was in the hospital just to
Wow.
make sure that everything
Wow.
kept going.
Yeah.
And, you know, the owners of the other company was so nasty, I decided, hey, I'm going to learn this stuff myself. I remember praying to God because I knew I was going to get rid of them. And I said, God, please bless my business that I can get the cumulative orders that we were getting together, but just my brand, you know, because I knew if I had cut them off, I would be losing like 70% of my monthly revenue. And I really wanted to replace it. I said, hey, it's my product that everyone loves.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's everyone's bragging about what I'm doing. You know, all they're doing is putting a label on it, and they've mastered how to run ads.
Yeah.
So I said, if I can master how to run ads, then everything will work out. So I decided I invested $1,000 into a course that taught me how to do this, and they had weekly calls live where you can talk about it in real time, and I started educating myself about how to do it. And one day I saw an ad. It was actually someone, a robot DM'd me, you know, and said, hey, click this person's page. They're giving away free courses. I was course hungry at this time,
Yeah.
you know, so I actually like listened to a bot, you know, and I click on this guy's page. He lives in the UK. He's about 24, 25 years old at the time. And he's so well spoken when it comes to running ads, and he was giving away free courses. So I said, man, even if I learn this stuff from him, I'm not going to be this guy. He was brilliant.
Yeah.
So I messaged him and I said, hey, I know you do courses, but can we hop on a call and talk about potentially working together? So he said, yeah, absolutely. I booked a time with him. He got on a call the very next day. He goes through my Etsy analytics, reviews, return customer rate, everything. And he literally held his head on the Zoom call. He said, brother, you have no idea what you're sitting on. You know? He said, I'm so confident that I can blow this business up that I'm going to work for you for free for the first 3 weeks. And his name is Josh. He's my director of paid ads now. And within
Wow.
yes.
Oh,
and
wow.
Within 72 hours, he 4x'd our daily revenue within 3 days. And I called him and I said, hey, I know you're doing this for the first 3 weeks, but let's just get started. You've proven your point.
Yeah.
And let's go. Send me your invoice.
Yeah.
You know? And within the first 7 months of being open, we made our first million. 7 figures in 7 months.
I mean, talk about we sometimes we believe that it's got to be this slow, uphill, dragged out start.
Yes, yeah.
And you have proven that within 7 months, you can scale to $1 million business.
Absolutely, you
Yeah.
can. The power of e-commerce, people ask me all the time, what can I get into to start making money? And my answer is always e-com, e-com, e-com. We live in an influencer world, TikTok world. You can get on and talk about skincare and all kinds of things and make it trendy, and people want to watch it. If people are willing to watch it, they might click and add it to the cart. The more people you show it to, the more people will add it to their cart.
Yeah.
So it's something that we started building out. At this time, I'm like, we need a name. We just made $1 million.
Y'all done made $1 million and ain't got a name.
Don't have a
And
name.
see, some of y'all out here that made $2 and got names and trademarks and LLCs and lawyers and accountants to manage a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had nothing, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to turn this up and like really do something.
Wow.
And at that time, it was just me and Josh. And I said, hey, we need a social media manager. Let's hire a photography place so we can get real food photography. It's time to up it. And I was writing down in my room. My room was covered in those 30-inch by 30-inch stickies.
Yeah.
Like you walked in my room and it was just those everywhere.
Yeah.
And I wrote out multiple website names that we can buy, goals for the company, everything. And I would have my little sister check them off every time we did it to get her involved, teaching her entrepreneurship early. And I landed on the Transformation Factory. And I said, this is it. And then for the logo, I knew I had seen this sculpture one time that motivated me. It was a stone sculpture. It's a woman, and she's overweight. She has a hammer and a nail, and she's like chiseling the fat off of her body. It's a stone piece. It's a beautiful piece. And I always thought that was so cool because it showed the contrast between who she was and who she was becoming. Because the top half is like slender, and the bottom half had the fat that she was chiseling off. So it was showing a work in progress. So I decided to make my own spin on that. Being from working from NASA and being a techie guy since I was a little boy, my favorite superhero is Iron Man. He's an engineer too. Made himself a suit. And so that's why in my logo you see a transformer, like literally a robot. But inside that robot you see a smaller robot that's the 2.0 version of themselves, the best version. And that's where we came up with the tagline, become the best version of yourself. And the Transformation Factory was born.
Become the best version of yourself. The Transformation Factory is born. After 11 months, you've done $3.5 million at 11 months.
Yes.
And you get this call, the call that you didn't know you were going to get. This was not the call you were thinking that was going to change your life, like Biggest Loser and Extreme Weight Loss. This is the call that says, do you want to come be on Shark Tank?
Yes, absolutely. So the way that happened, the casting director that was a part of the Biggest Loser cast, as well as Extreme Weight Loss. So I will say this, the producers were really, really upset that the owner made that decision.
Yeah.
Apparently they had a 2-hour screaming match about it. And he was just so adamant about it. So because they loved me, they stayed in touch with me over the years.
Yeah.
And when they saw the motion we was having, like I would take videos of pallets and pallets of orders going out, and Holland DM'd me and said, hey, have you ever thought about Shark Tank?
Yeah.
And I said, are you serious? Like Shark Tank's my favorite show.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't think we're big enough for Shark Tank. And she said, I think you are. You have a great story, and now you have a great product. She just wanted to really finish what we started. They believed in me so much, and they were so disappointed at that decision that they were just waiting for the next thing to put me on. And so she sent me an email. She said, casting is opening up in 2 months. I'm not a part of the casting this show, but my girlfriend is. And send her an email, let her know that you're interested, so you could at least start the conversation. So I did exactly that. Never got an email back. Never got an email back. And 2 months later, casting opened up to the world. And I said, let me just go on the website and apply like a regular guy. And I did. Filled out some information about our sales, a little bit about my story. And the very next day, I got a call from California. It was pre-screening. And I'm talking to them like I'm talking to you, going through everything, how we got started. And all I keep hearing on the other side, wow.
Yeah.
And then we get to the sales point. It's like, what's your sales right now? And I said, today we're about 3.5. And I'm saying it like, with the
like we're not good enough. We're not big enough.
Oh, yeah, 3.5.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, he's going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, wow, are you serious? In less than a year? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
He said, okay, well, I'm going to submit all this information and best of luck. And I said, okay, thank you for your time. 3 days later, I get another call back saying, hey, you've made it to the final round of casting. It's only about 400 people at this point. We'll select about 180 for the show. So I knew this was like at least the last part before final eliminations. And I'm like, here we go again. I'm starting to feel,
all that anxiety is building up. Like, yeah.
I'm like, how is this going to end? The difference is, we're doing good. I lost weight already. I have a multi-million-dollar business. I'm like, I'm not going to be disappointed if it doesn't happen, But luckily for us, we put together a pitch. Well, the pitch came after we found out we was going to be on the show.
Yeah, because you found out you were going to be on the season finale episode.
Yes.
But you only had like 3 weeks to prepare.
Right. So the way this all worked out, after I made it to the final round, I got a call a few weeks later to confirm that we were going to make the show or not. They said, at this point, we won't just tell you nothing. So a California number pops on my phone. I'm nervous because I know this is either a yes or a no.
Yeah.
I'm at the factory with my whole team. Blenders are going off. People are taping boxes. It's noisy. So I step outside and I'm like, let me hear what this is about. And he's like, hey, I just wanted to say it's been an honor interviewing you and getting to know your story, and you're doing really well. And I'm like, okay, here comes the letdown, And he goes, I just wanted to congratulate. And before he can finish congratulate, I stopped him. I said, hold on 1 second. My whole team has to hear this. Because I already knew what was happening at that point. So I go back into the factory. I tell everyone, come to the middle of the floor, turn off the blenders. And I put it on speakerphone. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, can you repeat what you were saying? And he said, hey, I just wanted to congratulate you and let you know that you've made the show. So all my team was looking at me like, show? What is he talking about?
Like, what show?
Yeah, and I said, hey, what show are you talking about? He said, Shark Tank. My team loses it. They throw like this big old party in there and everyone's screaming with excitement like, what does this mean for us? Like, we're in this 1,500 square foot facility, small place. And it's like Shark Tank's coming. So from that point, it was about 2 months of pitch writing, practicing, doing my pitch in Zoom calls with 200 execs and everyone involved with the entire show. It was really, really intense. And I got to work with Diane, who was actually cousins with Lumel, who owns Zeus, Small World. And she was my producer for my episode. And, she really looked out and gave me a lot of tips. And she said, hey, it's not too many of us that make this show, but I got you. I'm going to let you know everything you need to practice. Know your numbers, know your COGS, cost of goods. Know this, know this. How many minerals is in Seasmoss? I told her. She said, how do you know that? Can you prove it? And I said, yeah, we actually sent it to a lab and got it tested. We sent it to food scientists in Brazil. We sent it in the US. We sent it everywhere. I have all that document. She's like, perfect. She's like, because if they ask you something you can't answer it, they're gonna chew you up. So I took her advice and I went did my homework. And 2 months later we flew to California. Before we flew to California, we flew to California, shot the whole episode, and they told us, hey, just because you shoot doesn't mean that you're gonna air. So this is when the anxiety came in. So we do the pitch and it's a great success. I get 4 offers on the show, starting with Kevin Hart. He opened the door, said, I know what Seasmoss is. He said, but no one's selling it like at a big level. You have to like go to someone's house to get it or meet someone in a
because he spoke on the show to the cultural aspect of this. Because some of the other folks was not, they didn't really know what this was.
Oh, no, they didn't. They had no idea.
They was a little confused.
They was confused.
I saw it now.
Kevin opened the entire door. Shout out to Kevin for that. Because when the other people were asking, like, why is this selling? What is it? And I'm thinking in my mind, how do I say this is a cultural thing without saying it's a cultural thing? So Kevin said, it's a cultural thing. And I was like, thank God he said it, because I'm like, how am I going to phrase this and word this, you know? But he opened the doors. As soon as he gave me the first offer, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary gave me an offer, and then Barbara gave me an offer. And at the very end, Kevin and Mark kind of like whispered to each other. And I'm looking over to the left. I wanted Mark Cuban from the beginning. He was the shark I wanted to work with the most. And he typically never chooses companies that does food or supplements. It's always something in the tech field. So I knew I wanted him, but it was going to be a shot in the dark. And originally he said, hey, this isn't really my field. You probably know this, and I'm out. And I was like, man, I lost Mark, know? And so at the end, I see Mark whispering to Kevin. And I'm like, what's going on over here? And he's like, hey, I'll do it with you. And at this point, I have butterflies in my stomach. I'm like, this isn't happening. Kevin Hart and Mark Cuban's not teaming up. They teamed up. They gave me a bigger offer than Barbara was giving, and I decided to do the deal with them. And today Mark Cuban and Kevin Hart are my business partners.
Yeah.
And so what a lot of people don't know is the deal you see on the show, that's not a contract, So a lot of people go on the show and they lie, they fabricate their numbers, or they go on the show just for the publicity, knowing well that they have no intention on selling equity.
Yeah.
So to protect the show's integrity and to protect the sharks, after you make a deal on the show, the sharks get to do their due diligence, profit and loss statements.
Yeah.
You say you have a 3x return on ad spend, give me a screenshot of the performance in your back office. And they went through all of this stuff for months and months and months and saw that we were actually doing much better than we said, and we were growing at a much faster rate than any of us had imagined.
Yeah.
So the producer said, hey, just because you film doesn't mean you're going to air. You will know 3 weeks before your air date. If you don't get an air date, that's your answer. So we filmed in October, and the season finale wasn't until May. So my executive assistant at the time, she's stalking the guide channels, to see, because those guide channels will tell you what show it is at least
Who's
2 or 3 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
And so she's checking week 1, week 2, week 3. No Seasmoss, no Seasmoss, no Seasmoss. We're now in February. Episode hasn't aired. No emails come through. Looking at the TV guide, no Seasmoss, no Seasmoss. We get to April. And now I'm Googling, when does the season end? When does the season end?
Yeah.
And, I'm looking at previous seasons. It's 20 episodes for the season. We're on our 21st episode. I'm like, okay, that's it. I didn't make it. you know? It changes every season. They might order a few more. And I'm like, we didn't make it. And then I find out the season finale date. And, it was about 3 weeks from the time I found out when the date was. I'm like, this is the 3-week mark. If I don't have an email, I know my answer. I'm going through my email. There's nothing there. I'm talking to my casting directors through email. I said, hey guys, I don't see anything about a date. Do we know anything yet? No, we don't know anything yet. We get down to 2.5 weeks. And I email one last time. I say, hey guys, I just want to confirm that we didn't make it. Because if we did, we want to be prepared for the influx of orders.
Yeah.
I want to order a big PO on glasses and everything material, but I'm afraid to do that and spend that money if we're not going to be on the show.
Yeah.
So they said, you haven't been checking your emails? And I said, I've been checking them religiously. And she said, well, we sent it to Alexiou Gibson at Gmail, And I had forgot, now that I had a website.
Yeah, you got a company email.
I have a company email.
Yeah.
So I'm checking my company email looking for Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And it was in my inbox weeks ago.
Wow.
So they respond and they're like, I don't know if you're checking your emails, but let's just say, be prepared because you're the season finale.
Wow.
And, I called my COO right away, Miss Olivia, and I said, hey, order everything you can from Uline and everything else. We're airing and we're the season finale with Kevin Hart. This is going to be huge. It's the most watched episode of every season. This is a big moment. So immediately we start planning a watch party. We book a spot at a Gulf Country Club. And, I invited like 100 people, friends and family.
Yeah.
And we all sat in this country club with this big TV, watching it live as it was airing to the whole world.
Wow.
We have no idea what the edits are going to look like, how they're going to spin it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there watching it for the first time with everyone. And, there's tears in the audience. And, everyone's so excited and so happy. And no one knew the outcome except for my mom and my little sister, immediate family. And, they knew they couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
But everyone else there, no one knew. And they kept saying, Alexiou, did you make it? Did you make it?
Yeah.
I said, you got to watch the episode. And I would say, hey, whether we got a deal or not, we have 5 million people watching this show tonight. It's going to help our business.
Yeah.
Just to, keep it in suspense for them. And they found out all at the same time that I made a deal. And the walls were just shaking. Everyone's screaming, cheering, and, champagne toasting. And I had a Junkanoo band at my watch party. So that Junkanoo is our carnival in the Bahamas, where the drums, steel drums, and everything like that. And we had an entire band and a huge celebration.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of our journey. The Bahamas Prime Minister then reached out to us because I'm Bahamian, and he's like, I'm so proud of you. He said every time the Bahamians make national news, it's either because of Miss Universe or because of the Olympics. He
Wow.
says to see someone go viral globally and they're Bahamian and it's based off of your brain, it's based off of entrepreneurship. He said this is something that's going to inspire and motivate Bahamians.
Yeah.
And he asked me to come to the Bahamas and meet with him. I mean, of course, why wouldn't I? You know, so I'm sitting in a private office with him and his bodyguards and his EA. And he's like, young man, we're so proud of you. You made us so proud as Bahamians. And I'm like, I'm sitting across from the prime minister of my country, you know?
Right, right.
And, you know, we're going over different things. And he's like, what do you want? What do you need? What do you see for the future of your business? And I said, what's going to happen is now that we just exposed how lucrative Seasmoss is to the world, we're going to start seeing a lot of competitors, a lot of big brands come
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
you know, like the Johnson and Johnsons of the world. And what happens if they get involved with Seasmoss and start buying up all the supply, all the harvesters, you know, all the divers? I said, what could happen is I can get starved out of my own niche. So I said, to future-proof my business, I would love if you would give me Crown Beachland. And Crown land in the Bahamas is land that's available for free to Bahamians if you're going to do something with that property that's going to stimulate the economy or create
Oh,
jobs.
wow.
And so I literally asked this man for like a $5 million lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I said, we just need a beach.
yeah,
We just need a beach, you know?
yeah.
And like now we can start growing and farming our sea moss sustainably, creating jobs where farmers can go to certain parts of the beach, harvest it, and now we have Bahamian grown sea moss. It doesn't always have to come from Jamaica, St. Lucia,
Yeah.
Tanzania, you know, Ireland, you know, all the places that there are really big farms already. So he loved the idea, said, put it in a business plan. We're going to sit down with the Minister of Agriculture and we're going to make it happen.
But you know what, Alexio? What I really want you to talk about to the audience is because you talk about preparation, right? Because when I listen to your story, you're talking about being prepared for, you know, what's coming with the Etsy store. You got prepared with what was coming with the pitch. You got prepared for the influx of what could come with people possibly surging in on the Seasmoss market. I want you to talk about how preparation is so key to the during because most people miss it, right?
Yes,
They
yes.
miss it. So they could get a call from Mark Cuban for Shark Tank and you're not going to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So preparing is essential. Like right now, we have such a large demand. We have a much bigger demand than we can handle. Colombia, Bahamas, UK, Canada all wants our product. GNC, vitamin stores. And we're like, hey, we're like 10,000 orders behind right now. We can't even handle it. So in my mind, naturally, it's like, how do we take advantage? How do we become $100 million business, a 9-figure brand? You know, we have to scale everything. Our staff size,
Yeah.
the size of our warehouse.
You recently just expanded the warehouse.
Yes. So we're having our ribbon cutting in about 2 months. We just built a 20,000 square foot factory in South Florida. It's the largest CMOS manufacturers in the world now.
Yeah. Wow.
Soon to be.
Wow.
And you know, we've been building it for about a year now. Invested almost $2 million into the build out, and you know we're calling it the Willy Wonka of CMOS. You know, because when you walk in, you're gonna see these big equipment. You know, we flew to Germany, worked with engineers in Germany to build us custom machines that can shelf stabilize our product, that can help us mass produce our product. You know, the turntables, you know, all the stuff you see on how they make Campbell soup or how they make Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
You watch these episodes, and it's like it looks like a lab.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like now we're becoming that lab, but for CMOS.
Yeah.
And so, you know, preparing is so important because I think you can kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel where things are going at some point. Like once I realized, hey, we just did 100,000 in a month. This isn't 4,000. It started at 4,000 a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, and now it's 100,000 a month. And now we made our first mill. It was just clear that I have to get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And that's still my thing. I'm always like, I have to stay ahead of this.
Yeah.
Because it kind of wants to consume me and drown me.
Yeah.
And I can't let it. How do I prevent that from happening? Well, now we can 3x our team size. We have the machinery. And now we have PhD level employees for us. We have we have over 10 six-figure earners on our payroll. Top people in their niche.
Oh, look, they on your LinkedIn now. Look, Alexiou, you said 6 figures. They applying. They're sending their applications in.
Hey, we're always looking for sharp people,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So we're attracting A players now, and we have this culture where the team loves each other. They love working for us, and it's just every day is something new, something exciting. And it's, you know, how do we protect this? How do we take advantage of the blessing that God's really given us right now?
Yeah.
To not drop the ball, because, you know, everyone that doesn't know, they will say, "Oh man, that's a great problem to have."
Yeah.
And my response will always be, "It's still a problem that needs to be solved."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's only a good problem if you can solve it. And, you know, how do we solve it? And those are conversations I have with my team, our leadership calls, and we travel, we find answers, we make calls, you know, and that's how we prepare, you know, for everything that's coming.
In 3 years, $45 million. And your goal is to scale to a $100 million business.
Yes.
What else is on the table besides Seasmoss?
Well, that's a great question. I'll say that we have some really exciting things coming that I know will take us there. So the next thing that we're actually dropping, so we just came out with our Seasmoss gummies January 15th of this year.
Yeah.
Less than 2 months ago. People have been asking for it for years, and I wanted to do it our way. You know, our gummies look like the Transformer, which took engineers months, like 7 months of chiseling by hand, you know, a mold that we can have a gummy that wasn't a bear, wasn't a circle, wasn't a square. Like all
This
of our
ain't no Fred
competitors.
Flintstone vitamin, huh?
No,
This
no,
is
not
something
at
else.
all. So when you see our gummy, it looks exactly like our logo. All the detail is
Wow.
there. And I said, you know, I want to separate myself. Everyone is doing the same thing and putting a label on the same product. I said, we're number one in the world for Seasmoss now. We're the leaders. We're the industry leaders. What are we doing to lead and keep breaking the mold? And I said, you know, everything we release needs to be special.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we look like we're cash grabbing.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
I wanted. No one had flavored gummies. They just had a generic flavor, like apple cider vinegar. It has like just a generic flavor. I said, no, people love our tropical Seasmoss gels. We need to find a way to make our gummies tropical too. And it took a long time. It took a lot of trial and error, tasting,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we ended up with the mango, strawberry, and pineapple gummies. And we did 500,000 on gummies the first week of launch. 5 days.
Wow.
To be exact.
Within 5 days.
Within 5 days,
you
we did
grossed
500,000
Wow.
on the release of the gummies. And it's now one of our biggest sellers. And so the next thing for me is skincare. Seasmoss is incredibly good for your skin. You know,
I mean, your skin is amazing.
thank you.
So leave the whole tub of Seasmoss gel
Yeah,
with me.
I got you.
Yeah.
For sure. So,
Yeah.
you know, people would put Seasmoss on their face as a mask, like a leave-on mask. Rinse it off 15 minutes. You can put it in your hair, your beard as a conditioner, a leave-in conditioner, and it's just really, really, really good for your skin.
Now, fellas, y'all hear this. He says you can put it in your beard. So
Yeah.
you don't have to have a struggle beard.
No, you don't.
2024.
You don't. There's
You
a
do
lot
not.
of people whose beard didn't connect, and I'll see in the reviews like.
Let me get some. I know somebody who beard needs a connect.
Yes. But yeah, it works.
Yeah.
A lot of guys have wrote us and say, "Hey, I have a beard now." We've had couples that said, "Hey, we've been trying to conceive for years and we're pregnant."
Wow.
You know, because Seasmoss is a fertility booster for men and women. You know.
Oh, let me tread light.
Yeah. And yeah, we had some people that was really excited to have a kid, and we had some that weren't so excited. You know, one customer said, "Hey, you know, I had my tubes tied and I'm pregnant." He's like, "I'm pissed off. I didn't know this was a fertility booster." You know?
OMG.
And I'm just like, wow. I mean, I was still like, man, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
You know?
I think that speaks because the reviews is the thing that sets you apart in the start of the business.
Yes.
Because those 55 reviews on Etsy were the thing that kind of catapulted you
Yes.
into the stratosphere of people being able to recognize the product.
Yes.
And so how are you going to manage your customers' expectations? Because I think that they are constantly looking for something new from you.
Yes.
So how are you going to manage those expectations?
So we have a formulation department where we literally have a ton of ideas that we want to incorporate Seasmoss in. So a skincare line that's coming out in this summer, we're just trying to space it out. It's like a luxury line. It can be in Ulta Beauty. It could be in all these places comfortably. And every single step in the skincare line, even the sunscreen that you end with, has sea moss in it. And I've actually been using my own products on my skin for the last 2 months, just testing it with our formulators. It's being formulated in Croatia, and because the UK has like some of the best skincare regulations in the world. So we decided we were going to have Europe make it so that, it'll be one of the best.
Wow.
And so to answer your question, we know our customers are looking for a certain level of quality.
Yeah.
So we treat everything like very,
Yeah.
very serious. And we're stepping out of our comfort zone and getting into other niches that we can put CMOS in as well to expand our product base and hit bigger markets and different markets. Like now we're getting into skincare, we get into beauty. That opens up $1 trillion market for us.
Yeah.
I mean, if we took 0.01% share,
Yeah.
it would make us a over $500 million brand.
Wow.
So the main thing is we have the fan base, we have the customers. We're the largest brand for CMOS in the world. We've served over 700,000 customers.
Wow.
And we have a 46% return customer rate, which is really high. And we never want to lose their trust. So, with our team, it's like we know what anything we put out will sell. We can sell used Q-tips at this point.
Ooh, child. None of y'all get no ideas, child.
No,
Some of y'all listening,
yeah.
we know y'all ain't right in the head.
Yeah. So, just because it sells doesn't mean that it's a good thing. So our thing now is just quality control, looking at the market. Are we bringing something new, fresh? Are we inspiring other CMOS owners? Because a lot of them are Black owned, Hispanic owned. They're in my DMs all the time, like asking for advice or saying, hey, we're so proud of you. Thank you for growing the market with us and things like that. So they're watching and they're taking notes and they're being inspired.
Yeah.
It's like, am I inspiring? Am I doing something to push the needle?
Yeah.
And then one of the things that's always active in my mind, and, Mark has taught me, always study your competition, be obsessed about that. And the thing is, we're in our position right now, but you can't get comfortable and think that you'll always be there.
Yeah.
Your business is growing or it's dying. It's never in between. So I'm always actively looking for growth, make sure that our sales aren't dropping, that they're actually increasing. And it's because we're putting out quality work and everything of that sort.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to juggle. We have a team of 150 now, and we have all these departments: customer service, marketing, legal, everything.
Yeah.
And it's all come together where we're all working and growing this brand to a much, much bigger place.
I love that. I think that in listening to you, when you talk about Mark Cuban and the advice that he gives you, I mean, part of why you wanted to work with Mark Cuban was because of the relationship capital.
Absolutely.
And so you're big on using that relationship capital to grow your life. And so how important are relationships where you are in this phase of business?
Relationships is everything.
Yeah.
Relationships was everything when I was broke, and relationships is everything even now.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not making the money you want, relationships will open doors for you.
Yeah.
If you're where you want to be and you want to grow from the point you've made it to, relationships is going to take you from there higher. So, I always say relationship capital is worth more than money in the bank. Because when I went on the show for Shark Tank, one of the criticisms I got from, onlookers and viewers of the show was, man, your business is doing so good. Why did you need them? Or like, why did you sell? Why did you sell for 600,000, 20%? That should have been millions. And, my logic is, do you want a whole grape or half of a watermelon? Know? So a lot of people want to keep everything, 100% of everything. And that's cool. If I kept 100% of everything, I might have become a $10 million business. But because I decided to bring in so much expertise, we're about to hit 50 million and before our 4th year in business. So that was always my mindset, is that is a man worth $5 billion, with a capital B, and this man has a wealth of knowledge and connections that I could only dream of. And, and so said, so done. Within a year, QVC, HSN is reaching out to Mark to get us on their show. GNC is reaching out to us to get us in their store. And Amazon is making special trips from...
Listen, I don't know about y'all. I don't know how many folks is hopping on flights, okay? Look, Amazon said, why are you not on our platform?
Yes.
And they said, we're going to get on a flight to come down here and see and talk to you to understand why you aren't on the platform.
This is a true story.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get on Amazon for years. And I hired a VA at the time to, do the application process and everything. I guess her internet I'm drawing a blank on what it's called, but it's the thumbprint on everybody's internet, the ISN number or something like that. I guess
Child,
was banned.
I ain't gonna be able to
Yeah,
help you.
I'm drawing a blank, but I know the viewers know what I'm
I
talking
got
about.
you.
But every internet has its own like social security number.
Yeah.
And when Amazon bans that, you can't do anything. So the VA I hired, I guess she got into trouble with Amazon. And during the application process, they kind of banned my company, you
Wow.
know? And so I just left Amazon alone. I kind of gave up on it. Fast forward a year later, Amazon's calling us asking why we're not on Amazon. And I said, hey, I've been trying to get on Amazon, but, we can't do anything.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we have to get you on Amazon. You guys are getting over 500,000 search results a month, specifically looking for the Transformation Factory.
Wow.
And everybody else's brand is popping up but ours because we're not on the platform. And I'm like, there's no way. We're getting 6 million search results a year on a platform that we're not even on.
Ooh, money gone.
Lots
gone.
of money
Yeah,
lost.
Gone. Yeah.
So headquarters took a special trip, sent out their execs to actually meet with us to speed up the process and find out what they can do to expedite the process. So they went in there at the highest level, unblocked everything. That took months. You would think they can just hit a switch, but it literally took like half a year for them to even do that.
Wow.
At the highest level, it still took that long. And we're actually launching Amazon in the next 3 weeks. It's something I'm really excited about because that alone will double, if not triple, our annual revenue.
Wow.
Just from turning on that green
Wow.
light.
Just by turning on the green light.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So as we get ready to close out this interview, what are you turning the green light on for yourself in this season? Because I know that you said in recent interviews that you are still on your own transformation journey.
Yes, absolutely.
So what does that green light look for Alexiou?
So exciting. We just actually had a meeting about this week while I'm here in Atlanta with my PR
I'm in the
team.
pulse. Y'all hear that? I'm in the pulse of the company. Y'all let's see where we're going. You see this? You might need me. Go ahead. But go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you.
But so what we're doing now is we're gonna finish my transformation, but we're gonna produce it. And it's coming full circle. Now you start to understand why God planted these seeds with these weight loss shows, and it's like, hey, you have the story. I just wanted you to see that it was worth something. And I have to be honest, having Biggest Loser called me twice and Extreme Weight Loss calling me once confirmed that I had something special. These are billion-dollar shows following up with me for 3 years. So I think God wanted to show me that, but wanted me to own it instead of selling it. So now I'm in the position where I can produce my own documentary, my own story, and do it the right way. So next, the green light for me is finishing my transformation this year, hitting my goal, filming it in the highest way, and turning it into a project that we can give to the world and say, hey, use these tools to transform, become the best version of yourself. What does the 2.0 version of you look like? When you step in the room, what's your confidence now? What can you do that you couldn't do before? I used to obsess about that when I was on the elliptical for 2 hours at a time. It's like you have to mentally go somewhere because it's really boring workout for 2 hours. A playlist can only go so far. And what I would do when I was working out for that time length is I would literally just daydream, manifest like where I wanted my life to be. I pictured myself having a business. I pictured myself retiring my mom. She drives a Bentley now. I don't know why she's working, but she's stubborn.
Ma, come pick me up so we can go somewhere in the Bentley.
I'm like, Ma, why are you working? You're working for decoration at this point. It doesn't make sense.
She's looking to keep her mind busy and active.
Yeah,
she doesn't want to sit still and get stuck and stagnant.
No, she's an A player too, so she can't sit still.
And you're her son. She's trying to keep up with you now. She's like, well, wait a minute.
Yes.
I left you at that door that one day, but you ain't gonna leave me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm riding on this. And I'm supporting the whole way.
But I manifested this. I pictured myself doing interviews and podcasts. I pictured myself speaking. I wanted to be a public speaker. At one point, and I would picture myself on stage speaking to 20,000 people in the crowd. And before you know it, I looked down at the time and an hour flew by. I would get so lost in it. And I would just obsess about what is the better version of Alexiou look like? What's his life gonna be like? And I'm blown away that I'm here. I still wake up every morning with full of gratitude and almost disbelief. It's like, wow, I live here. I have this business. I get to travel here. I get to create jobs.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
black owned and black operated. We're
yeah,
80% of our staff are minorities.
yeah,
We pride ourselves on that, given opportunities to people that normally wouldn't, or have it a lot harder time getting them.
yeah,
And it's like, wow, I get to do this,
yeah.
and
I
so
get to do this.
I get to do
I
this.
think that's the beautiful thing, even when I wake up in the morning, that's one of the things I say. I said it this morning when I got up. I was like, I get to do this. Thank you, God. I get to do this.
Yes, yes.
And that's a beautiful feeling.
It's a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's why I take everything so serious. I have to protect it. I
Yeah.
was chosen to lead this, and I don't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
So it's been a great journey, and that on button for me now is taking it to the next level, being on big platforms like yours and spreading the message, motivating, growing the brand in every way possible, finishing my own transformation, being the example for the brand,
Yeah.
and the motivation for everyone. And it's an inspiring story so far, but we're just getting started.
Yeah.
We have work to finish. So
Just getting started.
so next time you interview me, it'll be a totally different man in this chair.
Next time I interview you, we're going to be down in Florida at the warehouse.
Yeah.
We're going to come
Oh,
down
that'd be great.
and do the sit down there at the Transformation Factory.
Oh, absolutely. I would love that.
I
Yes.
I like a little transformation.
Mhm.
So as we close out this interview, one word that you are committed to in this season of your life.
One word that I'm committed to in the season of my life. Consistency. Consistency.
Why?
Perseverance. That's two. There.
Give me the first one.
Yes, yes.
That's your guideline.
that's the-
Consistency was your guideline. So
Yes.
go with that one.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Every day I have an opportunity to drop the ball, and every day I have an opportunity to grow the company. And some days my C-suite picks up when I have an off day, or but most days I'm on, and I'm a guy that's up at 4 a.m. I wake up at 4:44 every morning. It's
Wow.
like the universe wakes me up.
Yeah, that's what's
And-
up.
And I started pacing back and forth at that time. My mind is racing. I feel closest to God at that time.
Yeah.
I live in the city in Palm Beach where there's trains and there's the boats. You can see the boats coming in on the water, and it's
Yeah.
always commotion.
Yeah.
But at 4, everything is still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Complete silence.
Yeah.
I'll just step on my balcony and I'm looking up at the sky. I'm looking at the
Yeah.
ocean, and I'm like, just connecting and getting creative and talking to God, and I start my day when the sun comes up, and that's the consistency that I
Yeah.
go through
Yeah.
every day to keep everything going.
Consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the cheat code.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You got to be consistent. Well, Alexiou, I am so excited for what God has for you. I already know, like I'm looking at the a 9-figure, 10-figure business right here,
yes.
sitting right here. So we are going to claim that. We know it's on the way. Thank you for joining us here on Vault and Powers Talks and
Yes.
sharing your story. I look forward to the transformation.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you so much for having me. This is
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you guys, that was another one for the books. We got it done. Thank you, Alexiou, for joining me today. You guys be sure to like, to comment, to subscribe, and be sure to share this with somebody, because I know somebody is going to be inspired, going to be empowered, and going to be motivated by what you heard here today. Until next time, you guys, I'm Brandi Harvey. Eat well, give a damn, move your body every day. Peace.